The NHL entry draft, especially the first round of the draft, can make or break a team's future for years to come. If you're one of those fortunate teams and you pick the right players, it can take you from the basement and make you an instant contender in no time. It can bring you a Stanley Cup years down the road, and if you're very fortunate, it can turn your team into a dynasty. But unfortunately for some teams, not all first rounders go on to be the team's future, go on to have a bright future, and go on to thrive. Some of them go on to be considered NHL busts. This is the story of the Montreal Canadiens' biggest first-round draft choice bust of the 21st century, David Fisher. In the 2006 NHL entry draft, the Montreal Canadiens would make their biggest draft blunder to date in the 21st century. Looking to add a key piece to their defense core that already had the likes of Andrei Markov, a young Mike Komisarek, and Sheldon Surrey, who was playing some damn good hockey in Montreal at the time, with the 20th overall pick in the first round that year, the Montreal Canadiens would go on to draft David Fisher, a young defenseman out of Apple Valley High School in Minnesota. Yes, that's right, I said out of Apple Valley High School. I have no idea what Bob Gainey was thinking here. Fisher had respectable high school scoring stats for a D-man, with 39 points in 28 games, a very solid plus-minus. He was definitely the best defenseman in the USHS program in 2005, but nobody thought that he would go that early in the draft. It was a massive risk for Bob Gainey to take, and it 100% failed from the get-go. It was immediately clear the next year, when Fisher regressed to a measly 5 points in 42 games after stepping up to the college level in the NCAA, that he was not ready to play pro hockey yet. 3 more lackluster years in the NCAA, Fisher did not come close to getting a shot at playing in the NHL. In fact, not only did he not only come close to playing in the NHL, Montreal didn't even offer him a contract after all. They held his rights for a few years, eventually losing them, or should I say, letting the rights go. Fisher went on to play 2 AHL games, 0 NHL games. He had a tryout for Vancouver, but he didn't make the team. And then he had 2 seasons in the ECHL. The rest of his career, he played in Austria and in Europe. So it's needless to say, after playing 0 games in the NHL, not getting a contract offer at all by Montreal, David Fisher is by far and away the Habs' worst draft pick of the 21st century. What makes it even worse is only 2 picks later after David Fisher was picked, the Philadelphia Flyers selected Claude Giroux. That's right, the Montreal Canadiens passed up on Claude Giroux to draft frickin' David Fisher out of high school. But if there is one silver lining, the Habs did get a second-round pick in 2011 as compensation for losing David Fisher's rights, which they then traded along with another second-rounder to the New York Islanders for James Werenski, who was a serviceable defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. But when you think about it, was he worth a 20th overall pick? As much as I don't like guys like Galchenyuk, McCarron, Schreibach, Louis LeBlanc, everybody's going to say those guys were the biggest first-round busts of the 21st century for the Montreal Canadiens. But at least those guys can say they did something for the team, contributed some way, and they got to play in the NHL. Whether it worked out for them or not, they got to play in the NHL. Unfortunately for David Fisher and the Habs, he can't say the same thing. And in my opinion, he is by far and away the worst NHL draft pick for the Montreal Canadiens in the 21st century, selected in the 2006 draft, 20th overall in the first round, and never played a single game in the NHL. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who would you consider the biggest draft bust for the Montreal Canadiens so far in the 21st century? Would you consider it Galchenyuk, where he was a 3rd overall pick, or would you consider it somebody like David Fisher? Let me know. Have a great day, and stay safe wherever you're to, folks. This is Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Over and out.